propose to speak to Amendment 100 in the name of the Noble Lady Baroness Boycott, to which I and the Earl of Caithness have attached their name. And in the interest of time, I'll chiefly restrain myself to commenting on that, although I will note the fortunate congruence of the Noble Lord Moynihan's 99AA appearing right beside it, because they fit together very well in thinking about a One Health perspective. Amendment 100 is about environmental health, but actually, of course, human health is entirely dependent on environmental health as well, and fitting all of those together, healthy places and the lack thereof, is undoubtedly one of our society's great problems. Now, the Noble Lady Baroness Boycott has already made powerful argument for this Amendment 100. So I just want to reflect particularly to commend the Noble Lady for including mycological surveys, because that's all too often left out. Excuse me. And, of course, one of the things that very much relates to is the issue of soil health, something that we're starting to recognise is such a crucial issue that we've ignored far too long, which is crucial both to our own health, human health and environmental health. And the Noble Lady Baroness Boycott said that we have a real shortage of education in our highly concentrated education system about ecology, biology, and that's undoubtedly true, but I want to make a different and additional point about that, which is our understanding of biology and ecology are moving and changing enormously fast. And if you were taught biology and ecology 20 or 30 years ago, what we know now will disavow a great deal of what you were taught as statements of fact 20 or 30 years ago. And just to illustrate that, and because I know Your Lordship's House loves a good chalk stream, I'm going to refer to a study that is actually out this week, but a very alarming study, I'm afraid. And this is a study of the River Itchen, which is a chalk stream, and has been found to have alarming levels of microparticle pollution. Microfibres and fiberglass fibres sampled right through the chalk stream. This has been found from samples from spring 2025. And the researcher who found this says, well, what we've got to do is work out the sources of this pollution and what to do about it. And what we need to do, of course, is start thinking about how do we stop polluting these wonderful environments, how do we make sure the built environment is not wrecking that, and this is ultimately related to a planning question that we've got to understand. And tying with that, I'm sorry, this is also alarming, is a study just out this week about tyre wear particles in the Rhine River. Now, where does the road go? The Noble Lady Baroness Boycott talked about the importance of where roads go in terms of splitting up habitats. But the road is also going to be polluting the watercourses. And this is a fascinating study that shows that actually the nature of bacterial biofilms in the river is substantially changed by the absence and by the presence or absence and the nature of these tyre wear particles. Now, the nature of those bacterial biofilms is actually at the base of food chains. They're key parts of aquatic ecosystems. They control nutrient cycles and form the basis of food chains. So all of this is just something in the last week. And if we're going to ask people to be making decisions that are crucial to the biology, the health of our environment, I'm not saying that everyone has to be spending their time, as I probably spend too much time doing, focusing on studies like this. But people need a basic level of understanding of biology, of ecology, to understand the way in which this knowledge is moving so fast, to be able to read these reports and understand them. So that's my first point, was about understanding ecological education, biology education. My second point, I'm going to, with some tentativeness, venture into the legal side of this, because it is worth noting that law around biodiversity, law around the climate emergency is a very fast-changing area, and it's crucial that people have at least a basic understanding in these areas if they're going to make planning decisions that, as the Noble Lady said, both are the right decisions but that will also stand up in court. And I'd point members, it's a really useful resource, to the Law and Climate Atlas, which was developed by the Centre for Climate Engagement in partnership with the Net Zero Lawyers Alliance. Now, as this notes, the climate change is a material consideration in individual planning decisions and may be a necessarily material consideration. but there's no statutory requirement, but then of course it may come up in court. And I note that the National Policy Planning Framework, Chapter 14, says that the planning system could lead to radical reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. But how are we actually going to make sure that happens? This is where the training is absolutely crucial. And I'm going to, with some trepidation, venture briefly into a specific case, R versus Surrey County Council, a judgment given on the 20th of June. And what this was all around was about the Scope 3 emissions from fossil fuel extraction. Now, the final judgment given in this case in the Supreme Court said the only issue is whether combustible emissions are effects of the project at all. It seems to me plain that they are, finish quote. So these are all issues in a fast-moving area that it's crucial we provide the planners with the training to understand what's happening. That will be training that's going to have to be updated regularly. If we're throwing people into decision-making positions without this understanding that we can't expect their previous experience will have given them, then we're really setting them up to fail, and we're setting them up to fail themselves, their councils and our communities.